Yeah. Yes, you have.
I guess I love the previous question, because I guess that would have been the first place I went. I'm with you on the Timothy Leary, Joni Mitchell. I was born and raised in Woodstock, so I know that side. I'm a psychoanalyst with an interest in neuroscience and definitely evolutionary biology, genetics,
Right.
interest in quantum mechanics. So I can appreciate that you're investigating all of those things. So my first question would have been, how do we fight sort of the insanity that's sort of the cultural sickness? So since you've already addressed sort of that it's really just a straight vote to try to just marginalize those
Right.
people, my other question would be maybe working with individuals. And I think what I'm seeing when people are coming to talk to me, the other side would be the guilt. And people coming with the super ego and really identifying with religion in terms of handing over their guilt to that higher power,
Right.
saying that they feel bad inside,
Right.
and that they have had religion tell them that they are bad, and that that's a good feeling, that they should feel bad because
Right.
fundamentally that they are bad, and so that's resonated inside. And I've had to try to extract that on a really fundamental level, and the work that I do is complex, and so really I give them a safe space to try to talk, just talk that out, and I'm not I'm not trying to interject a lot of new ideas. I'm really there to try to give them a safe space to talk, but maybe to help me understand, because I also have a partner who has a very similar background to you. So I do understand the sort of the upbringing of that fundamentalist background. And I love what you said earlier about holding conflicting ideas simultaneously. Ambivalence, being able to completely be an atheist on one hand, and on the other hand completely be able to believe that there is something, and to be able to hold two things that seem opposing at the same time, and be able to have a mind big enough to have those things at the same time. But maybe to just speak a little more to the guilt that people seem to fundamentally hold inside.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to issues of guilt, I think that we have to be sort of glaringly honest, and that is that when it comes to, say, why I still go to church, or why I feel guilty, or a lot of my reactions to things, to not pretend that you can ever really move on. You can't. You can change, but you're still there. The fundamental human problem is you're still you, always, along the path. And I think it comes to things like this. And so people say, well, do you pray? Yes. Do you go to church? Yes. Why do you do this? Because I was conditioned to do this, and I feel unhappy if I'm not. That's the beginning of it. It's not an intellectual reason that I read a book and it explained everything and I have this relationship with God, blah, blah, blah. No, let's be honest. Let's be honest about these things. And that is, we all come from a certain background, and what we do is we got with our mother's milk and it went from there. It's not just nature, it's not just nurture, it's not just genetics, it's the whole package, as everybody knows. It's your field. So the first thing I do for myself, forget other people, is the difference between being 61 and 21 and 31 and 41 and being 61 and a grandparent now, is having gotten to a place in my life where, at least when it comes to looking at these issues for myself, my real prime desire is to be honest for myself and for other people when I talk about it in say, the writing. And that is cut the crap and cut to the chase. I go to church because my mother made me feel guilty if I didn't. I also happen to like Greek Orthodox liturgies, but most of the time I don't even want to be there. I'm actually there for my grandchildren. The reason I'm there for my grandchildren is I'd feel guilty if I didn't introduce them to religion. Okay, that's the truth. Now, there are things, and yes, I have community, and we all need community, and there's ways to dress this up. But the real bottom line on most stuff is that, I'm lonely, I feel guilty, I want shit, I want to sell you a book, that's why I'm here. I do like Vince, it's not a lie. But I wouldn't come all the way to Brooklyn to see Vince unless I could sell some books. Let's be honest, I'm on a book tour. And let's be honest about these guilt things as well. And instead of dressing it all up and pretending, one of the things I think we can help people with, and I just give you this from my own experience and not in any way an expert, is to not think you can ever get over stuff. Don't hold out this false American promise that if you take the right pill or you hear the right counseling or you read the right book, things will be fixed. They will not be fixed. You're stuck being you. So you either deal with that and try to do it, or you don't deal with it. And that's the beginning of not getting it better, but that's the beginning of handling it. I had polio when I was 2. I will not ever have a left leg that isn't atrophied. Deal with it. There's no way to fix this. You know, acupuncture, herbs, new age bullshit, high-tech bullshit, none of it can touch it. So just deal with it.
So it's more about accommodation and acceptance than some kind of idea that it's going to be...
Right. And when it comes to religion, don't intellectualize or turn things into theology that are really about personality issues. You know, the reason my brothers-in-law hate each other is not the theology they fought over, but because they were debating who would get to take over my dad's work when he died. It's a series of personality clashes. It's no different than the clashes at the top of the Communist Party in China. It's for the same reasons, and that's the deal. So let's cut to the chase and stop pretending that it's all about who loves Jesus right, or you can get past this if you pray enough, or if you get counseled, it'll fix it. Nothing will be fixed. You will only be helped to deal with it incrementally a little better than you would have. That's my point of view. And when it comes to guilt, you're going to stay guilty the rest of your life feeling that way, because that's who you are. It's too late to change that. That's who you are. So just acknowledge it, go forward. I have a limb, I had polio, deal with it. That's my message to myself. That's how I look at it. And then when it comes to the big inexplicable things, just be honest. Say, I can't explain this. No, it's not rational. These are the two views I hold. They're in absolute opposition. My only refuge is to say that maybe our brains are at an evolutionary stage of consciousness where there are going to be questions that we will never resolve, because they're irresolvable by people at our stage of development. I mean, we're 10 seconds away from arguing over a cluster of bananas in our cage. So, you know, don't get all high and mighty on me and tell me how the cosmos started. And I say that to Christopher Hitchens, and I say that to any Bible thumper. They're all bullshit artists. You can't draw these conclusions. You're an idiot. I mean, not anybody here. By the way, I didn't mean that about Vince. I would come to book with Vince. I was using it as an illustration.
We have time just for
Yes.
one more.